What is up guys, Stu here, and today we have another film review from the festival. It's getting old saying that, but I can't not say that. And this one is for Babak Anvari's latest film, Wounds, which is the first big proper misfire of the festival. I can't quite believe how terrible this one ended up being in the end, and I'm incredibly excited to talk about it. Oh fuck, where to start? So Babak Anvari, he did Under the Shadow, which was a Iranian horror film which came out a few years back. I believe it was his debut, but don't fact check me on that because I'm almost usually wrong. But that was an Iranian horror film which did something interesting and got a whole lot of critical acclaim. So going into this one I was like, oh sweet, I'm interested to see what he does next. It's got a really solid cast. We've got Armie Hammer in there, Dakota Johnson, who seems to just be popping up in every other film I see at the festival this year, which is really, really eerie. And there's no other way to put it. He fucked it. He's fucked it. This film is so fascinating to me in that it really does start off with a vaguely promising premise. I mean, it's not the most incredible thing you see, but it starts off and you're like, okay, this might go somewhere interesting. It's clearly a director that's got a hold on how to scare us and how to create tension. And just constantly through this film, it's just on a downward slope until you get to the end. And I mean, we'll get onto it. It's kind of it's terrible. So the basic premise of this one is that Armie Hammer plays a bartender, and one night after a scrap at the bar, he picks up a phone that someone left behind, and it turns out, hey, this phone's possessed, and the demon from it is after you. It's hilarious in so many ways, and I feel like it's definitely a film of two halves. As I said, the first half kind of starts off quite promising. I wasn't loving it, but, you know, we are introduced to our characters. We have quite a solid opening sequence between Armie Hammer and Zazie Beetz is there. Getting to know these characters, so far so good. I mean, Armie Hammer at the beginning, it's kind of just exactly what you'd expect from Armie Hammer playing a bartender. Not that that's terrible, but it's nothing groundbreaking. But I like the dude. I'm a fan of Armie Hammer, so I'm on board with him, and I'm like, yeah, cool, let's see where this goes. And in a very typical horror movie fashion, stuff starts getting dropped, you start to learn things, eerie things start to happen, spooky things start to pick up, and the sequences start off quite eerie. There were definitely moments where I felt quite tense, and I was like, I'm interested in what's going to happen here, and I think if this plays it well, by the end of this one, it could be a really solid, if nothing outrageously groundbreakingly new, horror film. And then it just sort of keeps going, and I don't even know how to describe this thing. It just constantly takes the strangest turns, and the most baffling decisions I've ever seen just keep happening. There's weird story elements where it's got this premise, but it's also doing this side thing where Armie Hammer's character's cheating on his girlfriend, but he's just a dick. There's nothing to it other than that he's cheating and he's a dick and he can't see that. And that goes in weird ways, and he ends up getting his girlfriend, who's played by Dakota Johnson, sucked into all of this. Kind of shocking how quickly it turns from being remotely tense and scary to just being utterly hilarious. There's actually an exact point, I think, where I was like, yeah, this is no longer a horror in my mind. It's a straight-up comedy, motherfucker. I don't know what they were told as actors to do in this scene, and I don't know what Babak was going for with the direction, but it is so strange how every one of these characters reacts to the things that are happening. Dakota Johnson happens to be one of the biggest casualties performance-wise in this film, because she just sort of pops up and does really strange things in this film. And there hasn't been any effort to give her any personality at all. She's just there. And before you know it, she's sat watching a TV screen wetting herself. And this is another really strange thing. She so quickly gets sucked into the horror of this story, and it goes from her just being like, hey, what's going on, Armie? To her being literally stuck at night watching a laptop screen with a horrifying ring-style tunnel on it, wetting herself. And Armie Hammer's character's just like, oh, let's just get you to bed. As if this isn't the strangest thing that's ever fucking happened. It's one of those films where really weird shit is happening, and characters are incredibly reluctant just to go, this is a bit weird, isn't it? And it's not an intentional character thing, it's just poorly written. That's it, that's all this film is. It starts with a vaguely interesting premise, and it doesn't know what to do with it, and it doesn't know how to write any of the characters to do anything that works. This storyline with Zazie Beetz goes absolutely shit all nowhere, and at a certain point it's like they flicked a switch because they were like, oh shit, no, this needs to be the point where shit's going down. So Armie Hammer just becomes this ludicrously aggressive guy walking around telling everyone to fuck off. So I guess if you're a fan of Armie Hammer telling people to fuck off, you're probably gonna love this one. And the horror elements feel kind of scattered and all over the place as well, looking back on it. Like, even the moments in the first half where I was like, yeah, this is kind of effective. When I think about it now, I'm like, but why? It's got elements of body horror, and it's got psychological horror, and it's got, like, ghost stuff, and it's got ring-style screens, and it all just feels like, fuck it, throw it in the film. There's a thing with cockroaches, which starts the film and you're like, okay, this is a prominent thing throughout, but let's see where this goes. I'll tell you exactly where it ends up going. The single funniest closing shot of this year. The press screening I was in were just straight up laughing at this film at that point. The final scene of this film feels so strange in that it doesn't feel like it's a final scene until it just ends, and you're like, oh wait, hang on, that you wanna end it fucking there? There's a moment where you're like, this is weird. Oh shit, they're ending it. It's kind of fascinating. I'm genuinely quite impressed at how quickly this film just spirals totally out of control. At a certain point, it is so funny, that I almost don't feel like I can say it's a terrible film, because it is entertaining as hell. It was a very quick time, and it gave me some genuine good laughs, so it has that going. But it's almost definitely not what Babak Anvari's going for. Thinking about it, in the second half of this film, there's genuinely not one thing I can say, yeah, I was impressed by that. I don't know what else to say. I'm genuinely shocked by this one. It's out on Netflix at the end of this month, so thank God you won't have to pay for it if you already got Netflix. I recommend checking it out if you want a good laugh. Get some beers, get people around and just watch this film and enjoy it for the train wreck it is. It is the first big, colossal Jesus Christ fuck no from the London Film Festival this year, so there's always going to be one, eh? But what about you guys? Have you seen Wounds? Did you catch it at the festival? Are you excited for it? I almost couldn't say it. If you are, I'm sorry for this. Just rein those expectations in. Whatever you thought about it, let me know in the comments down below. We'll have a little discussion down there. And as usual, if you enjoyed this video and you do want to see me talk about more shit, go ahead and click subscribe and the little dingy bell icon so you're notified every time I put a new video up, because you guessed it, new video every day, baby. See you guys tomorrow for another one. But until next time, stay beautiful, mother truckers.